Bill Turkey covering the murdered journalist. Molly Hunter, good morning. What do we know from yesterday? What's the latest?
McGraw, good morning. I wish I had more news since yesterday. So we are sitting outside the consular residence here in Istanbul, and it's just about a mile away from the consulate where, of course, Jamal Khashoggi walked in on October 2nd and never came out. This building that I'm standing in front of has been the focus of the Turkish police investigation for the last 16 days. And they finally were let in 2 days ago. We saw them last night. They searched for 9 hours. They were in there till 2 a.m. We saw guys in forensic suits, like really heavy-duty kind of flight suits. We saw drones up ahead. And Turkish officials, anonymous Turkish officials, have been saying for the last 2 weeks that they believe that Jamal Khashoggi was killed inside the consulate, and then his body was brought here to this building. So that's why the focus has been so much on this building. But McGraw, we have no idea what they found.
We're hearing that they saw fresh paint and some strange chemicals. Any truth to those stories?
The thing about all these leaks, so the Turkish officials have basically been leaking small little drip details to Turkish media, to American newspapers for the last 16 days. And they've had complete control over the story. They've called the shots. The Saudis haven't said anything. So a detail like that, there's no way we can confirm until we actually see the final investigation. And the other kind of interesting thing about the fact that they've just owned the media narrative is that it's all been anonymous, McGraw, which means that it's not been Turkish President Erdogan. It hasn't been the foreign minister or the interior minister or named officials, but it has allowed them to basically put out tiny bits of evidence that all support their very kind of their theory that happened, that they came out with right at the beginning, that Jamal Khashoggi was killed inside that consulate. So the paint, the chemicals, the audio tapes, the videotapes, forensic evidence, all of that is kind of out there. A lot of chatter about all of that here on the ground. But really, until we see some final conclusive evidence, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Would you put the bone saw in that same leaked category?
Big time. So that was one of the most gruesome details, I think, that we learned right away. And some of these details, McGraw, are just grisly. They're barbaric in the way that they describe the death. And they absolutely could be true, but I just think we have to have a healthy amount of skepticism. There was also the report about one of the Saudi agents being an actual anatomy expert, and we just don't know, I think. But the Turks will continue to leak, I think, these little details until they get what they want from the Saudis.
They said as you said, they said they have audio and video. They haven't released any of that to anybody, even the U.S.?
At least not according to President Trump. So yesterday he was asked in the Oval Office if he'd seen it, if it exists, and he says, I don't know if it exists. It probably does. It possibly does. But you can bet that when Secretary Pompeo briefed President Trump today, Pompeo, of course, spent a full day in Riyadh meeting with King Salman and the Crown Prince there, Mohammed bin Salman, and then he was in Ankara meeting with the president here and the foreign minister. And you can bet he pushed the Saudis really hard for information, but he also would have pushed the Turks. Where is all this intelligence coming from that you've been telling all of these newspapers? What do you actually know for sure? Can I see the evidence? Can I listen to the audio? So my sense is, and President Trump did say yesterday we should know by the end of the week. My sense is that we're hopefully going to have some answers from Secretary of State Pompeo. All
right, Molly Hunter, just so we understand this, who is conducting the forensic investigation and how long will that take?
So, McGraw, there are basically two investigations, but the forensic investigation that we've seen, that I've witnessed, is the Turks. So the Turks have sent guys into this consular residence. They've not put a timeline on how long this will take, but they say it's ongoing. They're processing evidence. And then there's the Saudi investigation, or apparently the purported Saudi investigation that the Saudis promised Secretary of State Pompeo would be timely and thorough. But so far, we've seen a lot of Turks, but I haven't seen any Saudi investigators in forensic suits yet.
Now, lastly, Saudis have sort of floated the idea, or where did this story come from, that they floated the idea that they would admit that something went horribly wrong in some type of interrogation.
So that was a report a couple of days ago, and ABC News reported it as well. We had a source who told us that the Saudis were ready to fess up. They were ready to take responsibility and explain the circumstances of his death, as you said, as an interrogation gone terribly wrong. We have not seen that report. And that was, the report came out prior to Secretary Pompeo's visit. Of course, this is after Secretary Pompeo's visit now, and nothing from the Saudis. But McGraw, what that would mean if that report came out is that the Saudis have been lying to us for 2 weeks. They said that he walked out on his own free will. I think no one believes that line anymore. But we haven't heard anything from them to replace that line, and we're still absolutely kind of on the lookout in case this report comes out.
Molly Hunter in Istanbul, Turkey. Keep your head on a swivel and look behind you at all times, Molly Hunter. Be safe. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks, McGraw.